The fear of losing everything after college. I recently graduated this past May from NYU Film School, and it's certainly been an interesting experience leaving the structure of college, school, American education system, things of that nature. On one hand, I'm really excited in that I've always felt like I'm the kind of person who would spread my wings once I finish school. By that I mean, I've always been the kind of person who, even in my favorite class at school, I would be looking up at the clock, waiting for the class to be over. I remember I would play these little games in my head like, oh, in 5 minutes there'll only be 20 minutes left. Oh, again, in 5 minutes, only 10 minutes will be left. 5 minutes left. Like that countdown game, I would play that so many times throughout so many classes, especially the ones I hated, but even in the ones I really liked, I was always looking up at the clock, calculating how much time was left for the class, just got to get through this class, and then going to the next one. And obviously there were some class periods which were really fun and the time would just fly by and I would just be like, oh snap, that was so fun. I didn't even keep track of time. Of course, I wasn't obsessively tracking it every single day for my entire education. But yeah, for the majority of my education, I've just been like that. I wouldn't consider myself an academic person, even though I'm someone who cares a lot about self-improvement, someone who cares about learning. I think just the structure of going to school, the way you're taught, the assignments, things like that, especially in college. In college, it's almost more annoying because ostensibly, you're given the freedom to focus on your area of choice. So I decided to focus on film and television production. But I still had to take random ass classes about modern art, about Brazil, uh, what else was there? The environmental science, things like that. We would always have to take these random classes. And don't get me wrong, on some level, I am grateful to have taken some of those classes. That environmental science class I just mentioned was actually one of my favorite classes in all of college, just because it really just inspired me to make an impact in the world and kind of instilled that belief in me that one person has to do their part in order to change the world. And that class was super fun. I think, but still, it was the structure of, having to deal with a lot of classes that I really didn't care about, that had nothing to do with my major, but I just had to take for the sake of taking them. And I understand why you have to do it, but that doesn't mean having to write the paper on sperm whales and their contribution to this certain ecosystem. I understand why I had to do it, doesn't mean it was enjoyable. So while I'm grateful for those experiences, as soon as college was over, I was like, okay, I'm ready. In some ways, I feel like I've been waiting for this my whole life. That's really how I felt once I graduated from college. But it's been an interesting departure from college. I spent the first few months just kind of fucking around, laying in bed, not really doing anything. And now I'm on the job hunt, obviously starting back up again, trying to be productive in terms of content creation and working on films and things of that nature. But it's just been interesting to see how social dynamics have changed, just because obviously in college you were living next to your best friends. You could, like me personally, I could my dorm was literally 5 minutes walk away from my best friend's dorm, so I could literally go visit her. There were so many times where I was just going to her dorm to get food, and then we would just run into each other and hang out off that. Those were the kind of experiences that are impossible once you leave college, at least in my case, because I can use that same example of my best friend. I used to be able to visit her. I used to be able to visit her anytime I wanted. I could just pull up to her dorm room, knock on the door, see if she was there, and we could hang out. But now, or at least for the past few months when she was living in Brooklyn, it was an hour away commute from me. She was living an hour away commute from me, so every time we hung out, I would either be coming down an hour, she would be coming to me. She would be coming to me, and that would be an hour transit. So every time we met up, it was definitely more calculated. It wasn't as simple, and I don't think that really changed. It hasn't really, I wouldn't say it's changed the strength of our relationship, but it just has changed the dynamic of, okay, now we have to try harder to just hang out and see each other. And it's been weird, because with some people I've definitely gotten closer since high school, or since I finished college. Some relationships have definitely gotten better. I cherish them more. I spend more time with people outside of college. I would say my social life as across the board kind of improved, just in that I think the quantity of my relationships has gone down, but the quality has definitely gone up, where I'm spending more time with the people I actually cared about in college. Like, respectfully, the relationships I really cared about, or the people I really cared about, I'm still in touch with them. I still see them. I still make time to see them at least, every couple weeks or so. And it's definitely a different dynamic, again, from college, where you could visit your friends easily. But for me, I think, yeah, in some ways I'd have felt better being out of college. And again, I still am spending time with the people that I really care about, so I'm not really missing too much out on the relationships that weren't as significant to me. But I know a lot of people probably are worried about this thing of losing everything after college. Like, once you leave college, you just miss out on your social circle. You miss out on it. You just have like this really easy social circle, and then becomes way harder to maintain after college. And that definitely is true. Definitely is way more effort to maintain contact with your friends, to coordinate spending time with each other, especially if people are working. It's definitely even worse. I was definitely blessed that most of my really good friends have stayed in the city, so it hasn't been that big of a shift. But I know if your friend is moving away, or people are starting to work, I'm experiencing that now, where I'm still looking for work, but my friends are starting to get jobs, and that's making it a bit tougher to schedule things. It definitely becomes way harder. And I think maybe for me it was less of a contrast, because I think socially I had good friends, but I didn't have like a solid social circle at my college. So it was more so like different people from kind of different aspects or groups which maybe, I didn't have to feel the loss of like losing a social group. Uh, and it was, maybe a bit easier for me to deal with. Okay, I just have to keep up with this person, like these separate people in its own way. But yeah, I totally get the fear. I think, yeah, you really just have to put in the effort. You have to schedule time with the people you really care about. Like, for example, me and my best friend, like we've scheduled a call for this Sunday, because she's moved back uh, to Puerto Rico, and we're that's me scheduling time with somebody I really care about, to even though they're not physically here, I want to keep in contact with them. I personally don't really like texting, so for me, I would prefer to call people, FaceTime them, things of that nature. But if you like texting, then that's fine. I think Instagram Reels or any kind of social media reels, I think sending each other stuff like that can be nice, just in kind of establishing like, oh, I'm still thinking of you. But I definitely think it has to be deeper than that. I think if your friends are in different parts of the world, you should definitely reach out, and schedule a call, FaceTime, because at least for me, texting just doesn't do it. I think it can still be a good way of keeping in contact with someone for sure, but for me, calling and FaceTime trumps everything. Uh, obviously second to physically being with the person, but FaceTime or calling that person is definitely always going to be right behind that. Just because I feel like it's easier to communicate with a person, to just talk with them, to have a genuine conversation, rather than text where it might be like 8 hours between response times for whatever reasons. Uh, so yeah, I think the advice I would give anybody worried about missing out on their friend group in college, if they have a very popping social circle, I think that the people you truly care about and that truly care about you will definitely stick around. You'll definitely have contact. You might not see them as much, and it might be busy. You guys are all working, things like that. But the most important people, they will definitely still be there. That's what I've found, and I'm saying this as someone who is like definitely wouldn't consider myself the best socially. Like, I've definitely had my struggles socially, especially in college. But the people that I really cared about, uh, they've stuck around, and I've arguably gone closer with at least three people, I want to say, or three of my friends from college since we've graduated. And I think that I can't really recall any relationships getting worse after graduating, uh, at least in terms of strength. It's really important to have those friends where you might not see them for a while, but it stays the exact same, like nothing's changed. And that's how I feel with a lot of my friends, where it feels like nothing's changed even if I haven't seen them for a bit. Uh, but yeah, if you're worried about how things are going to change, they are going to change. You're going to have to put in a lot more effort. You're going to have to schedule things. You're going to have to go out of your way to call, talk, to FaceTime people who are maybe in a different state or maybe in a different country, and that can be a nightmare, especially if time zones are different. But I think you truly just have to find the way, and you're just gonna have to put in more effort. But I think, at least for me, I definitely appreciate those times way more, whenever I do get to see my friends, and it's made the connections that have stayed all matter all that much more to me. And yeah, it's definitely different. It can be tough for sure, but me, as someone who, there was a brief period where after I graduated college, I was so scared that I would lose everything. That fear I kind of mentioned at the start, where I was so scared that I was going to stop talking to the people that I cared about, that I was going to lose my friends, that I was going to lose my friend groups. I was so scared that I would be all alone in my 20s, just staying at home. I was terrified. I was so terrified, and that fear felt very palpable. But a few months later, and again, the important people I've still kept in touch. Even the people I don't talk to as much, like I still, you still find time to, go on like a coffee date with somebody, or get a lunch with somebody, or, again, call. So it's definitely tough. It's definitely hard. I definitely wish you guys the best if you guys are going through that right now. But, again, as someone who had that same fear, I found that as long as you put the effort in, as long as you really put the effort in, obviously still prioritizing whatever you got going on first, but as long as you prioritize, as long as you put in the effort to stay in contact with people, then it'll work out. And again, you never needed 50 friends. If you have like 5 to 10 friends who are like, and that's like me talking like exaggerated, or like that's a very optimistic number. If you have like 3 friends who still like stay in contact with and who still care about you, even if the dynamic's different, even if it's not as many friends as you had in college, I think you're still winning, man. You still have people that care about you. You can still be fulfilled socially, and I don't know. It definitely is tough, but as long as you put the work in, I think it can work out in the end. So that's all I wanted to say for this video. Again, super rambly, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.